It is Friday night. It is very hot. There is no rain in the forecast, and the tops have all fallen over on my onions. So it's perfect timing to harvest them, and I can let them sit in the sun and cure a little bit over the weekend. Then by Monday or Tuesday, they should be ready to braid and go into storage. So I'm going to show you that whole process. I have been growing onions for 5 or 6 years now. I started growing onions the first year I started gardening because we eat a lot of onions, and I just wanted to grow things that we eat a lot of. This is definitely my biggest onion crop so far. I think I have about 300 onions here in 2 rows, and if you've seen my earlier videos, you know I'm doing the living walkways with weed barrier, so I just torched these holes in the weed barrier after I laid it. This was back in March, I think, and then planted my onions. And I will link the kind of onions that I grew. I grew 2 different varieties. I'll link them in the description because I can't remember right now what they're called, but one is a yellow and one is like a blush. Let's see, some of them got stuck here, so I had to give my weed barrier a little episiotomy there to deliver the onions, and that worked just fine. I got all of my onions harvested last night. It is now Saturday morning, and I got the call to come down to the barn. The guys are going to be putting up hay this weekend, and they need the square baler. My husband went down there, and lo and behold, we have another broody hen. This makes the 5th broody hen right now, and she is right there nesting in the baler on who knows how many eggs. Broody hens are mean. They're very territorial. Obviously, like, they don't want you to mess with their eggs. Hank is on the camera right now, so very shaky. So I have a 2x4 in there, moving her and getting the eggs out from under her. I think there were 14 in all, so she was sitting on 14 eggs. They're bad now. I can't take them in. Who knows how long she's been sitting here. So we're just gonna put her with her eggs and move her somewhere where she can keep sitting on them and hatch them. And since I'm a big baby and didn't want her to get me, John, get her out. And she will just go down in the coop, in the big coop, with my other broody girls. So like I said, she's number 5. Here are the other ones. I've been giving you guys updates. Every week I show you, well, almost every week I show you the broody ladies. So, you know, it only takes 21 days to hatch eggs. They've got to be hatching sometime soon. I know all these eggs are fertile, so sometime soon I'll have new chicks to show you. Okay, done with that. Back up to the garden. I had some carrots here that I pulled up. Those need to go inside right away, but I did end up getting all of my onions harvested. I got the yellow and the blush harvested. Then I just laid them out on the weed barrier. You can't see it under here, but they're not laid on grass. They're laid on the weed barrier on a dry surface right here in the garden, and they will just stay there and cure for a few days. So they'll just start the drying process. And while they cure, we've got some garlic that has already been curing in the garden, and I'm going to put the kids to work. This is an easy chore for them. They can just chop the tops off the garlic and put it in a basket. Very easy. I can let them do that, and I can get back to work. It has been a few days. The onions have been curing right where I left them, and you know, there was no rain in the forecast, but we had a few pop-up showers and storms. Luckily, they just went right around us, you know, because obviously my onions are the most important thing in the world. Anyway, we've gotten plenty of rain lately, so it's okay that it missed us. So yeah, they've cured for a few days. Now I'm going to pick them up, and I'll do the yellow first, then I'll come back to the red because I've got a lot here. Can't fit them all in my wheelbarrow at once. I'm going to take them over to my porch and start sorting and braiding them. I actually did a poll on Instagram as right before I edited this video to ask what other people did for their braiding process, because some people like to let them cure totally. So the tops are totally brown. That takes like 7 to 10 days before braiding. I only cure mine for a couple of days. Like I partially cure them before braiding. This way I've always done it. So I did a poll, and right now my way of partially curing before braiding is winning, but we shall see. But just so you know, there are 2 ways of doing it. You can cure your onions for a couple of days or fully cure them for like 7 to 10 days. So I'm just sorting them into piles, large, medium, and small. You want onions of the same size to go in the same braid so it's consistent. To get started, I'm just going to pick out 3 onions. Well, I'll start with 2 onions. I'm going to do some out of this large onion pile first. So 2 onions, and just crisscross them, one right over the other, and then the 3rd onion will go over top of those. So see, you've got your 3 strands there. You have to, I'm not going to teach you guys how to braid. You have to know how to braid. So this is just braiding. You have 3 strands, and you begin the process of crossing them over. Now, with the first crossover that I just did there, I'm actually going to secure this with twine. So I secure 3 times. I secure it with twine at the beginning here with my first 3 onions. Just tie a really good knot here that holds everything in place. And then you'll see when I get to the end, I secure the top as well. And then sometimes if it's a really heavy braid, I will take another huge piece of twine, tie it at the bottom where I started, and then kind of like thread it all the way up and tie it at the top again, just for more support. Okay, now that I have that initial piece of twine tied, I just grabbed 1 more onion, put it in the middle on the top, and then braided. Now I'm going to grab 2 more, put them on the side, and then braid over again. So every time you add your onions, you're going to add 1 to the top, then 2 to the side. Just watch, and it'll make sense. And your onion tails, if you will, I don't know what you call those, onion tails. I just put those in the center each time. So when I'm adding my onion to the top, it goes in the center and gets added to that big strand, and then I braid over. And then add 2 to the side, put those tails in the center, and braid over. Now, as you're braiding, if you find that the tails are getting really, really long, you can actually braid down a few times before adding more onions. Or if they're really short, then don't do that. The length of your braid is really up to you. If it gets really heavy, like I said, try that trick where you use twine to kind of start at the bottom and just wrap it around and thread it through, and then tie it at the top to secure. But this is, it's pretty big. Not my biggest one. I'm just going to tie this at the top here, and then I'll pick it up and I'll show it to you. It's very pretty. Okay, I am finished. These are large onions, these are medium ones. You saw me sorting, so I've got a braid of small onions back there too, but I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 big braids of yellow onions, so I'm halfway finished. I still have to do my red onions, but yeah, these are looking pretty good, so I'll just let them sit out here on the porch while I braid the red onions, and hopefully by tonight I'm finished. And whew, this is heavy. I can bring them all in the basement and hang them up. Okay, yeah, this is the small one. So just 1 little braid of small yellow onions. Most of my onions got pretty big this year. Now these onions will store for 9 to 12 months, but that is because of the variety that I chose. So like I said, I will link the varieties that I chose in the description, but you need to pick storage varieties if you want them to store for a long time. So I'm really hoping that these will last me until next year. Alright guys, well that is it. I will see you next week.